Hello, everyone. My name is Seth Stutzman, and today my presentation will be over the Cuckoo Sandbox. What is the Cuckoo Sandbox, you might be asking? What it is a lightweight tool that can analyze malicious files such as executables, emails, Office documents, and even URLs. It can also analyze network traffic, trace API calls, and perform memory analysis. The results of the analysis are presented in a report that can be used by security teams and malware analysts. A brief history on Cuckoo Sandbox. So in 2010, at the Google Summer of Code, they were selected the support project, and then once again in 2011, they were selected along with another project called the HoneyNet project. Following that, they had their first beta release on February 5th of 2011. On November 2nd of 2011, they had their first stable release. Then on 2012 of January, they released their first free version of Cuckoo Sandbox open to the public. After that, in 2014, the Cuckoo Foundation was founded as a nonprofit organization in a way for Cuckoo Sandbox to support itself and any related projects. Finally, in 2015, they started development and support for Macintosh OS. So what is the Cuckoo Sandbox capable, you may be asking yourself? And the answer to that is actually a whole lot, but the only things that I'm really going to touch on are going to be kind of the core features. The main feature that it is or can do is that it runs a malware inside of a virtual machine and then observes its behavior in real time and records it and can give you all the information of what it does. Some of the things that it can track would be the network trafficking. So this would monitor the traffic generated by the malware, which can reveal any attempts to contact, command, and control C2 servers or spread over networks. The next thing is the file system activity monitor. And what this does is this tracks changes made by the malware to the file system, such as creating, modifying, or deleting any files. Last thing it will do is API call logging. And what this means is it will capture the API calls made by the malware to the operating system, which can provide insight into what it's trying to do, i.e. encryption or escalate privileges and things like that. So the way that Cuckoo Sandbox works is after you have it up and running, you can submit any suspicious file or URL into the host machine, and then the Cuckoo will set up a virtual machine for testing. Once the malware is executed in the isolated machine, then Cuckoo will start to track the system's behavior, network activity, and API calls. After the analyzation has been completed, then it will generate a detailed report of the malware's behavior for any specialist to look over and see what's all happening. Lastly, it will clean up the virtual machines and revert to its original clean, safe state. So hopefully you're able to keep everything isolated into its container. So some common uses for this program and people that might find use in it. With the malware analysis, a security analyst can observe how malware interacts with systems, which files it accesses, and any network connections it attempts to make. Antivirus companies would find this pretty useful. Another thing would be the threat intelligence gathering. By analyzing malware samples, organizations can identify indicators of compromise, IOCs, and tactics used by the cyber criminals. Somebody who would be interested in this type of information would be the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA. Another thing would be incident response. Incident response teams can analyze suspicious files found during an investigation to determine their impact and the necessary steps of getting rid of or remedying the situation. Private companies that get called out for encryption issues and cyber attacks would use this information to find what spots are vulnerable and have been compromised, and then how to fix the issue. Lastly, we have forensic investigations, and this would be analysts can use the Cuckoo Sandbox to analyze malware-related incidences, helping to reconstruct the event of the attack. And something like the FBI could use this type of stuff to after a cyber attack may occur. So even though this program does seem very awesome and capable of doing so much, it does have some shortcomings. One of the major ones is, since people know about Sandbox, the people who create these malware will make evasion techniques into the malware to look for things such as memory size, core usage, and other things like that. And then if they notice those types of things, then the malware won't run properly, which can give you misleading analyzation results or incomplete analyzation results. Another issue that you may have is that this can be a very resource intensive program. Running multiple virtual machines for this analyst or analyzing of information can be very resource intensive and require lots of CPU, RAM, and storage. And so this can be limit the number of concurrent analyzations that you can be done at the same time, which then can make things run a lot slower and take a lot longer. Another thing is the complex configurations. This is a very flexible and can be configured a lot of ways, different type of program, which can lead to a lot of complex setups, particularly for custom environments or integrations with other tools. And so users might struggle to configure the system properly for what they're trying to do or their specific needs. So some things that you'd want to consider to make sure that when you're using the program, it's a successful thing. We'll want to make sure that we're hitting our proper hardware requirements and have enough resources to dole out to the virtual machines as needed. We'll want to make sure that we keep our environments completely isolated in someplace that we control all aspects of everything. That way the malicious software can't get outside of its concealed area. We want to make sure that we're able to give enough resources to the virtual machines. That way we're able to keep the malware believing that it is free and clear of any virtual areas. And lastly, you'll want to make sure that you do plenty of research and training in order to kind of understand what you're doing and feel comfortable in the processes that you're taking, because just one misstep with the malware can have big implications and issues. And another issue is just the setup and configuration of everything. If you don't have it done properly, will be another headache that you can avoid. All right, everybody. Now we're going to focus more on the installation side of the Cuckoo Sandbox here. I currently have an Ubuntu virtual machine rolled up, and the Ubuntu that I'm using is 18.04. I tried using newer versions and had lots of errors with it, and all the tutorials I found all used this version, so this is why we have kind of an older version. Now on the right side, you'll notice that I have a lot of scripts written down. These are things that I have went to the Cuckoo page and gotten from the requirements page for the prerequisites, and then also the installation stuff that we need. So that's why I have all these codes already on the other side. So this first one you're going to see we're starting with is just updating all of our Ubuntu packages and making sure that everything is up to date, minus the operating system. The next step that we're going to do with these next few commands is going to be installing an older version of Python. I believe it's Python 2.7, because that's just what's compatible with Cuckoo. But the unfortunate thing is some of the other things that it uses Python 3. So that became kind of a pain, but we were able to figure it out. Now I'm installing the curl. That way I can do this next thing for the curl, which installs the command line tool used to transfer data using various protocols such as downloading files. And then we're going to download the git pip py, and that's used to install the package Python manager for Python 2. After that, we're going to do the executional downloads for the script to install the pip for Python 2 and give it elevated permissions. Followed by, we're going to do an installation of the virtual environment for tool creating an isolated Python environment. Once we get all those things kind of finished up, then we'll be moving on towards the environment and actually getting the environment set to where we get logged into it. And so here in just a second, you'll notice that the screen just went from being Cuckoo at Cuckoo to Cuckoo-env, which is just the virtual environment. And then we have the Cuckoo at Cuckoo-VirtualBox. All right, and so now what we're going to be doing is just doing another update file again, just to make sure that everything is up to date that we've added. And then we're going to install some dependencies that we need for the Cuckoo Sandbox to run properly. The things that we're going through here are going to be a library required for our Python packets, an images processing tool. We got another one that's a tool needed for compiling software included in the GGC or GCC GNU compiler collection. And then lastly, we have an installer for Yara, a tool that is a pattern matching for malware research. And then after that, we have a library, a Z library, that's compressed library for developed files. And then after that, we have install the Pillow packet or package. It's a Python imaging library while avoiding cache to ensure a fresh install. So we just want to make sure that we don't have anything outdated in that one. And then lastly, we will have an installer for the SSL, FFI, and Python development libraries, as well as built-in tools. And then once we get all of those updated and installed, what we are going to move on to is going to be getting the TCP dump up and going. And so what the TCP dump is going to do for us is it is going to, sorry, my screen keeps moving on me and I lose my information here. All right, so the TCP dump is for network package capturing. And so that's going to help us pay attention to see what all the malware is reaching out to and doing. And then after that, we got the sudo setcap, which grants the TCP dump the necessary network capabilities to run without needing root privileges, so we don't have to constantly give it the permissions it needs. And then once we get that all done and installed, then we're going to install actual Cuckoo Sandbox into the environment. And then once that's all finished up, then we're going to make a directory for the Cuckoo files to be saved to. And then we are going to initiate Cuckoo. You will notice a few errors. Some of the errors are going to be just dependencies that I didn't quite add because you don't really need them particularly just to get it up and running. And then another thing was it just is an outdated version that I unfortunately updated. There is an easy way to fix that with just a simple command. And then now I'm actually running the Cuckoo process. You'll notice that there's some errors in here as well, but that's because I didn't officially set it up. Here in this next page that we're going to open up, this is where you can actually configure a lot of your information with the Cuckoo Sandbox. You can set up your memory dumps, what RAM you want to use, what how much processing power, what VM you want to use, and there's a ton of other options in here that help you get your virtual machine ready. And then once you have all that set up, then it will go ahead and you'll notice you'll be able to add in a script that will give you the ability to upload any um, malware or anything into that virtual environment. And then you will be able to see what happens and how it works. All right, here's my resources page and where I got most of my information from. So I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and I hope everybody has a great day. Bye.